Right, so here we have the Falkniven F1 redoing the edge retention test on this metal. Out of the box, this knife felt really good. It would shave, but when I went through the cutting test, it only made it through my 3/4 inch twist rope 10 times. And then it had a spot on it that was not shaving already, which pretty big letdown, I felt like. So now, and I've heard from other people that when they buy these knives, they can be not super excellent with the factory edge. So now I'm sharpened it the same way that I sharpen my knives, and we're gonna see how it does. And let's get right to it. That was 110 passes, and the blade has now stopped taking all the hair. It's slowed down a fair amount, both below the hardest worked part of the knife and above it are still able to shave clean, but in the work portion, it's still taking some hair, but not. And this is the point where in most of my tests, I'll go ahead and stop because I only have so much rope, and as long as it's taking most of the hair, I keep going, but at this point it's taking about less than half. So we're going to first try it on a clean piece of leather for stropping and see if the edge will come back on this clean piece of leather. So what this means is there's no polishing compounds on the leather to help restore the edge. So we're just going to clean off everything, and we'll see if that's all it is, because if it is, then it's pretty impressive, because at this point dry stropping normally doesn't, or non-compound stropping doesn't normally bring the edge back right at this point. So it is better, but still it's doing better than most of the knives at this point with a dry strop. So that might be just the edge got clogged up because the grain structure and the way it is. But we're gonna go ahead and hit it now with the clean strop. Right, we have now stropped with some compound. Let's see where it's at. Okay, that's 100% performing as it was before. Alright, so in conclusion, I have a couple theories on this metal, because I'm kind of confused that it beat the S90V from the Benchmade. Maybe the Benchmade just doesn't have as good of a heat treatment. But here's all the factors that are in my mind of why this beat the Benchmade. This knife, its finish is different, and it was ground to zero to the very edge. So what you have here is a blade that has little or no secondary bevel. However, though, in that initial condition from the factory, this only went 10 passes from the factory, and it was done. It was completely done, but after I sharpened it my way, it made it to 111 passes, because I miscounted on one of those runs and overdid how much did it. I also just put this knife over my polishing wheel. I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. I think a knife being slightly more slippery in the body allows you to push it more easily, and there's less resistance all over, so that could have helped too. But I'm actually really impressed with how this did, because I didn't know if the steel was going to be able to to beat the Benchmade, and it did. I am very impressed on how it stacks up. And the fact that when I stropped it with the... So I wipe all the knives off when I go to do the shaving on my leather glove. I don't strop them though, I just try to take all the crap off. And then when I stropped with a clean leather strop, it came back quite a bit, even without any compound. So that might mean that maybe 115, 120 might be the real comparison to the Benchmade, which made it through 60 before it stopped shaving halfway. Pretty darn good. What else to add? So like I said before, this is not the factory edge. The factory edge was convex all the way, and I really do think that it being convex and being so narrow behind the edge and so gradual in its taper. Well, I think it's also a convex grind with the knife. So it's the convex edge and then there's a convex grind. I feel like all those factors probably go into making this perform pretty good, but honestly, I am very impressed with how this wound up performing in the end. Okay, so that was awesome. 110 passes before it even started slowing down. And it possibly, maybe 120 passes would have been better, because it might have still been a little bit better than the Benchmade was at 60 at 110. So maybe I should have gone a few more. Who knows? Either way, I am very impressed with how this steel held an edge. Now, in the first video, it left me feeling depressed that from the factory edge, it went 10 passes and stopped. I mean, that's kind of like a buck 119's edge retention, really low level of edge retention. But after I sharpened it myself, gave it a new edge, and got rid of the factory edge, 110. And I think that's pretty amazing. I mean, with $215 at Benchmade, you can get the Saddle Mountain Skinner, a knife that's purely meant for edge retention and for the hunt. Bug. There's a fly, butts above my ear. But this knife, at $180-something, it went not quite twice as far before it got to that point, but almost twice as far. And so I'm very impressed with it. If I was going to choose between these two knives for a hunt, I would pick the Falkniven personally. And here's the reason why. The Benchmade is S90B, and S90B can be pushed really far, but I feel like Benchmade shortchanged the steel a little bit. Or perhaps I'm missing something, like the fact that it's so thin and small and lightweight and all these other things is the biggest priority over everything else, so the heat treatment is not the primary focus. But a couple reasons why I'd rather pick the Falkniven for a hunt. The Falkniven, while the two of them have about the same amount of purchase on the handle, the Falkniven's handle is slightly thicker at the thickest point. Or actually, no, they're about the same at the thickest point, but there's more mass in the Falkniven's handle, so I feel like I can get more hand on this than I can on the Benchmade. One thing I will give the Benchmade, though, over it, is the fact that the now this is something that is a purchasing option. The Falkniven has this little rubber thing right here, and I don't, if it was more gradual, it wouldn't bother me, but the fact that it sticks up like that, it kind of feels like it would give me some pressure while I'm working on stuff. See here. The edge retention is better. The knife is thicker, so it's going to be harder to break. In terms of sharpening, I feel like the Falkniven is just a hair easier to sharpen than the S90B. I don't know for certain. Well, for instance, putting them both through the same sharpening process, I got more edge retention out of the Falkniven than I did out of the Benchmade. What else? I feel like, well, they both have plastic sheaths, so there's not much to say about the sheaths. There's less rattling in the Benchmade, but I feel like that's something you can fix. I'd probably make a leather sheath for this. But I do feel like the Falkniven is the better pick over the Benchmade. I didn't go as far as the knives I make, because with this one went 110 passes before it slowed down. My CPM 154 CM with my heat treatment, the fly keeps bugging me, went 250. But still, this knife has impressed me in this test, and hope you enjoyed the video.